Molly, I know you're from Philadelphia, and today is the primaries there. And I thought maybe we would take a moment, given what's going on across our nation, and just hear a little from you about that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Elisa. Thanks for having me today. It's great to connect via such a wonderful organization made up of such wonderful people. So it's really nice to have this discussion during this difficult time everywhere. But I support the movement that's going on, and obviously it's time for change. And interestingly, of course, it is primary day there, so that's one of the most tangible ways anyone can make change anywhere, right? Is by activating that civic duty. Here in Mexico City, there's a large distrust of institutions, right? I mean, that's Mexico in general, but of course Mexico City especially. And so I think there is, if in the US it's something that we're seeing mostly in communities of color, Black communities, and kind of disenfranchised communities, here I think across the board there is just an overwhelming mistrust of institutions, including the police. It's interesting because, as you say, it's a huge city, about 8 million within the city limits and 25 to 28 in the sprawl, very densely populated. And of course, I think about 60% of the economy is informal. I believe that's in all of Mexico. But of course, Mexico City is the hub of commerce and the economy here. So for that reason, the government actually never mandated a lockdown. Instead, it was suggested or recommended to the population to stay indoors. And so, of course, that's one thing for 40% of the population who has formal employment. So as it is in the US, COVID here has been very much along class lines, the contagion rates, because of that fact. There have been reports by New York Times and other media outlets reporting, that the hospitals are overcrowded and people are being treated in waiting rooms, and medical personnel being infected to the degree of having shortage of personnel. So I mean, it's certainly undeniable that the generation of babies who are being born during this are going to have a completely different experience of life that we can even imagine, because there's still so much to be seen, right, with the fallout, both in terms of the physical health and the economic health of our communities. So I think there's still a lot to be seen. And just in terms of the racial injustices that we're seeing come to a boiling point, I think parents all over the world are going to have to make the decision whether they're going to educate their children, at least speaking from a white perspective, educate their children on these views and justice, and